Welcome to Straight Talk with Carly Alyssa Thorne. And I have with me today Susan Liberty Hall. And we're going to be talking about her great new book called Ha! I Laugh in the Face of Cancer. So obviously we're going to be talking about health issues. So the first thing I'd like to do is offer a disclaimer out there. So we're going to be talking about alternative therapies. And so I do want to put out there that I am all for alternative therapies. I love alternative therapies. I use them often myself. But I also do not want to discount Western therapies. I think they both have a place. So neither Susan or I are doctors. I do want to encourage anyone, if you're having a crisis or medical issue, please dial 911 and go seek your proper doctors and or authorities. We are talking about our own personal journeys. Susan's talking about her own personal journeys with her own alternative therapies and her journey healing herself and what she went through. So I am totally for these alternative therapies, but I also want people to know that this may not be for you, and it may be for you. I just have to put that out there because it's just the proper thing to do. However, I love Susan. I've actually interviewed before on her previous book, which I actually loved, and now we're talking about her newest book. So welcome, Susan.
Thank you, Carly.
So I would love for you to talk about, first of all, what was your inspiration behind writing this book?
All right, thank you. Well, in April of 2012, I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and at the same exact time, my brother, the late Dr. Jerry Buss, owner of the Los Angeles Lakers basketball team, was also diagnosed with cancer. So we both ended up with cancer at the same exact time. It was very interesting. So I went to see my brother, and he explained that he was going to be doing surgery, aggressive chemo, radiation, and all of the above for his cancer. And he fully expected me to have the same start as he did, having my mastectomy and chemo and radiation. But I just had to tell him, Carly, that I couldn't do that. And it's true, I could not do that. And so I had to tell him, and it was very hurtful to him. He thought that it was a death sentence, that I would surely die. He really was very upset about it. But equally, I was worried about his choice, because I thought that he also would be having a death sentence. So both of us love each other dearly and support each other on that journey. He chose the conventional medicine, and began right away. And I thought, well, gee, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I thought about it, and I wanted to go to the Young Living Clinic in Ecuador. That's where I would have gone, except I didn't have the money. It was a very expensive treatment, and I just didn't have the money, nor did I feel like asking my dear brother for that money, because he did not believe that I could be helped by anything other than conventional medicine. So I had to honor that for him, and I did not ask him for the money. So I went back to my home. I remember sitting down, very concerned for myself, and I went into prayer, Carly, and I asked our God, what would you have me do to save my own life? That was the question I put to our God. Immediately, I had a response. So I stood up, and I walked over to my office into the file cabinet area, and I opened a file under C. It was marked cancer. I took a file out. I realized in looking at it that that was something I had put there maybe 15 or 20 years ago, when our mother had died of cancer. She had done the surgery and the chemo and everything. She had a horrific death, terrible, terrible suffering. So I had started this file for alternative cancer healing, thinking that maybe someday I would need it. And then I had forgotten all about it. So I took the file out, I looked at it, and it was very interesting what I saw. There was one lonely paper in there, one little flyer, and it said 2 feathers healing formula, and it showed a picture of a man. He had a hole in his chest. It was like a wound, and then next to him there was a table with 8 tumors on the table, and he claimed that those tumors had come out of his body using this 2 feathers American Indian or Native American Indian herbal remedy. So I looked at that and I thought, oh, that is very strange. I thought, oh my golly, But that was the answer that I had gotten in my prayer. So I really needed to be obedient and to honor the answer to my prayer. So I thought, well, I wonder if this man, Robert Roy, who was on the flyer, if he still has a phone number that's working. I had no idea. So I called his number, and he answered immediately. I thought, okay, so far so good. So I told him the situation, and he suggested that I, like yourself, like we said, he's not a medical expert by any means. So he made sure I knew that. And then I ordered 1 jar of the Two Feathers Healing Formula for $134.95. And I got it right away, and I followed the instructions, and I took 2 tablets internally twice a day. And that was my remedy. And at the end of 14 days, when I woke up on the 14th day, one of the 2 tumors that I had that were the size of marbles on my right breast had collapsed. It was simply gone on the 14th day. So I had an understanding that it was working in only 14 days. 3 days later, the second tumor also collapsed. So now both of the tumors have collapsed, and you can't see them, you can't feel them. I had no idea where they were, but they were no longer in sight or feel. So I called Robert Roy, and he explained that the cancer was probably dead, no longer attached to my living tissue. And he suggested that I take a little bit of the formula and put it on the tumor site with the idea that it would open a wound, and the tumors would then begin to come out, just like the flyer on the man that I saw when I first got the answer to my prayer.
That is a fabulous story. Now, also you were talking about living on oils. Did you also use the oils in conjunction with that, or was the formula just tablets?
I did use the Young Living oils. I used the oils to support my immune system, because anyone who's fighting cancer will understand you must have a functioning immune system. Of course, we all know that chemo destroys your immune system. So certainly I was using my Young Living essential oils. That is my business. It is my first love, and I do love it dearly. But it was the Two Feathers that was killing the cancer. So I did use the oils, and I used the oils also for emotional support. Anyone who would understand about essential oils, when you smell them, it can take you to a wonderful place. And I did have one oil in particular called Sacred Mountain that is a blend by Gary Young, and it was the scent of the conifers, the pines. And that was helpful to me because I was also very interested to be a part of nature while I was getting well. I had my moccasins. I put my moccasins on. I walked in the desert. I would smell the essential oil, the Sacred Mountain. And it was so beautiful, and it did help me. It was very comforting. So the essential oils have many places that they can help us with, certainly the immune system, and certainly in this case comfort also. But it was a Two Feathers formula that was killing this cancer, and the evidence was very, very apparent. So I listened to Robert Roy, and I continued to do the 2 tablets internally. And within 2 days of putting the topical ointment on the breast, it opened up a wound, and I could actually see the tumor inside of my body. It was big. It was much bigger than the small marble-sized tumor that had originally been there that was collapsed now. It was probably 5 times that size or more, because it was also very deep. So it was the size, and I would know this because within 2 weeks, that tumor fell out. I mean, it simply fell out. I continued to put the ointment on the tumor, and I continued to take it internally. And I understood that the internal use was also melting the cancer. I knew it absolutely, because every time I changed my bandage, there was liquid tumor that poured out. So the amazing thing about this part of my story is that when I had first gone to Desert Radiology here in Phoenix, I had an ultrasound, I had a mammogram, I had a biopsy. It was determined that I had 2 tumors, which I was aware of because they were hard like marbles on my breast, and 1 that was not cancerous, a total of 3. So with that amazing testing having been done, I'd have to ask them, why then were there 18 tumors that came out of my breast during the time I was using the two feathers? I think it's an important question because we're all thinking that these tests are very accurate. Well, in my case, there's absolute proof positive they weren't accurate. They said I had 3 tumors, and I actually had 18. So I was learning along the way, and it was a profound learning, too, because it was something like I didn't know anyone else who had ever had this kind of an experience, although Robert Roy has helped over 60,000 people over the last 34 years. There are hundreds and even thousands of testimonials of people who have had the same victory that I have had over cancer. I'm only telling my personal story and what happened to me. But there are many, many other people who have also had amazing victory with using the two feathers formula.
And has he, in those testimonies, has he also had the similar experience where when they had their mammograms or biopsies or ultrasounds where they said they only had, 2 to 3 tumors, and when the tumors fell out, they actually had a lot more?
Well, I don't know about that. We've never discussed that, and I will ask him that. He never brought it up.
That'd be an interesting question to find out, because it just goes to show technology's gotten so far, but I'd be really curious to find out in all of his testimonies if other people also told him that they had more tumors than what they were told. That'd be an interesting question. I'd definitely go back and ask him that.
And I will get back to you about that. So yes, this was an amazing story. Now, along the way, my brother asked me, and this was several months later, to go to the Mayo Clinic here in Phoenix because he had arranged that I meet with the head surgeon. He still was thinking maybe I would do the mastectomy, maybe I would do the radiation. He just wanted me to pursue what the Mayo Clinic would say. Out of respect to him, I did it. But by the time I went to the Mayo Clinic, I was already cancer-free. I already had several tumors out of my body. So we repeated the same tests. And it was really funny because they also said I had 2 tumors, 2 that were cancerous and 1 that was benign. So same thing, same old, same old. Both of them said that, and both of them were very much mistaken in that there were 18 tumors. So every 2 weeks, Carly, another tumor would fall out. The depth of the size and the depth of this, the first one that came out was about the size of a $1 pancake. It was the depth of 10 quarters deep. If you put 1 quarter on top of the other, I had no way to measure this, so I used quarters. It was the depth of 10 quarters, one on top of the other, and a $1 pancake. So it was big. And by the way, it does hurt when those tumors are coming out. So I did use a prescription painkiller during that time. The two feathers formula also works as a very powerful detoxer at the same time that it was killing this cancer. So it made me a little bit sick. I was nauseous. Several times I did vomit, but I learned how to work with it. I got the essential oil of peppermint, Young Living's peppermint, and when I would smell that and put a drop on my tongue, it would stop me from vomiting. So I was able to tolerate the two feathers formula, and as time went on, it no longer would bother me, and I was able to work and do everything necessary. In that time, I was helping and taking care of my brother, traveling back and forth to Phoenix, to LA, to be with him in the hospital. So I was there at his side during his most horrific and very terrible illness. Switching back to his story, he had a surgery immediately, and during the surgery there was a medical error that occurred, and the next 4 or 5 surgeries and 4 or 5 procedures, 9 in all, were then meant in trying to correct the original problem that was never corrected. He went downhill very quickly indeed, and suffered greatly with the chemo and with the radiation. On the 27th day of his radiation, I went over and he whispered in my ear. He could hardly speak at that time. He said, "Susie, they're torturing me. Why would they do this to me?" And that was one of the last things he ever was able to say to me. It was very sad, and he did suffer greatly, as I have said. So we had a very different treatment. I was well. I was able to drive that long distance. I was able to do my work, be there with him, take care of my business. I did everything and more that I might normally have done at the same time I was fighting this cancer. I was cancer-free within 10 weeks. The way that I knew that is that Robert Roy had told me, and so did Gary Young. Dr. Young said I should not have had the biopsy. They both said that the biopsy causes the cancer to spread, and they're not the only ones who've told me that. I'd heard that from other naturopathic doctors, other people that I trusted. But in my case, I had already had it. So Robert Roy, he told me that there is a very simple way that people can find out how much cancer they have. It's called the AMAS blood test, very simple test that I took. And from 0 to 700, the graph, it determined how much cancer is in the body. And that's very important because then the next time you have the test in 2 or 3 months, and let's say you're doing the 2 feathers formula, then you're able to see for yourself how much the cancer has come down to the place where you no longer have cancer. That's what I did. And that's how I can be very peaceful. And other people can be very peaceful because they're going to know absolutely that the cancer is being addressed, and they're going to know when they are cancer-free. They're going to know if the cancer tries to come back, and they're going to know exactly what they can do about it. So it's very peaceful. It's why I chose the name of my book, I Laugh in the Face of Cancer. There is no fear that I have regarding cancer.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the oils, because I really love oils, and I want to talk about how our brain connects with oils. I think, even as children, even as adults, our brain associates our olfactory, sense, right? So when we smell certain things, think about it, when we smell our mom's baking,
Yes.
we automatically, or even if they're cooking, we automatically start to salivate, or, we're like, oh my God, there's something going on in the kitchen, right? It's the same thing with the oils. When you smell lemon, or you smell the different concoctions, or peppermint instantly wakes you up. Or if you have a stuffy nose, if you use wintergreen or different things, you can put them in a spray bottle with water and spritz it in the shower, and then when you step in the shower, it literally opens your sinuses. So I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the different oils and what some of their uses could be used for. I use a lot of the oils, and I know how wonderful they can be. And I make my own cleaners. I buy like a base solvent, like organic solvent, and then I add my own oils to it, and I make my own household cleaners. So yes. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about the different oils and what some of their purposes could be for.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't know if you're willing to go there a little bit, but I just think it's a great conjunction. And also how they can be used when you're ill, because I really do. I use them all the time if I get stuffy, I have a sinus cold, or anything like that. They really can be used to open up your sinuses. If you're feeling, like you said, nauseous, if you have a headache, if you're feeling kind of blue, the oils can really instantly change your mood, instantly lift you up. So if you're willing to touch upon a little bit of the different oils, I think more of the basic ones. If we get more into the complicated ones, I think some people would kind of get lost. But if we touch upon some of the basic ones, I think it'd be really great.
Absolutely. Well, as you know from my first book, which was also about the Young Living essential oils, exactly what you said. The oils can reach in and do a number of things for all types of diseases or emotional issues or problems of any kind, whatever the problem is. Dr. Young has an essential oils desk reference guide, and from A to Z, he's got everything listed, including cancer, that someone can go and look up a condition and see his recipes and his brilliant recipes on what to do about them. So certainly, as you were saying, the people don't realize the importance of scent and as being one of our senses. And it is so amazing. So when people are afraid, for example, with cancer, one of the things that the oils can do is emotional releases. So just like when you smell an oil and it takes you back to your mother or your grandmother baking her apple pie or her lemon pie, as you were talking about. And that is, of course, a pleasant memory. But the other thing that the essential oils can also do is they can release negative memory also. You might have a memory locked in your psyche, and an essential oil that is not related to apple pie or to lemon can open up and allow that memory to be released. We call them as spontaneous emotional releases. They are astounding. I've seen them happen all the time. So most certainly when I had this cancer, I knew the importance of using the Young Living therapeutic grade essential oils. So I looked up the oils that are most important for cancer. It was there were two that were quite simple, frankincense being one. And so I would use frankincense on the breast area at all times. I would also smell it. There are 3 ways to use your oils. Aromatherapy, where you're smelling your oil, and that's amazing, and that's when you have the emotional upliftment. And then putting it on the body topically, and then taking it internally in the mouth, which I also do, but only with a therapeutic grade essential oil that has been approved of for taking internally. And most of the oils out there have not been, but the Young Living oils are. So, for example, the peppermint. When I had the cancer, I put a drop on my tongue, and I also smelled it. And there was a lot of stress in my head, excuse me, just because I had so much going on. And that beautiful oil would also release the stress of a headache, for example. And as you said, you could breathe well. I never got sick at all during the time I was doing the 2 feathers, and I've never been sick since, although I used to get sick all the time. So that combination of using the 2 feathers and the oils not only found me to be cancer-free, but I've never gotten sick since. Even then, when my granddaughters would get sick and they'd get strep throat, I'd get strep throat. They'd get the flu, I'd get the flu. None of that happens to me anymore. My immune system is stronger than it's ever been. I'm 69 years old, just had my birthday. I'm the grandmother of 3 little beautiful grandchildren. And I must say I've never been better. And I'm very, very grateful. I'm grateful for the Native American 2 feathers formula, and I'm also grateful to Gary Young for these essential oils. And I'm willing to help people. If someone listening has cancer or any disease for that matter, I've written that book as a way and a means for you to duplicate what I have done. I've written everything out so you can see everything I did. It's very easy to duplicate. So I overcame cancer without a doctor. There was no doctor needed to overcome cancer. It was so inexpensive, it was so effective, and it was so simple that people simply couldn't believe that it was real. But I am here to tell you, it is real. I was cancer-free in 10 weeks. I've been cancer-free ever since.
So why don't you tell people where they can find you, because this is also a podcast. So here's the book, Ha, I Laugh in the Face of Cancer, by Susan Liberty Hall. And why don't you tell them, since this is also a podcast, where they can find you, where name of the website and everything.
Yes, okay, my website is www. and it's the name of the book, Ha, I Laugh in the Face of Cancer.com. And then for our listening audience, if there's anyone who speaks Japanese or who knows someone in Japan, the book is also available in Japan, Amazon Japan. It's written in Japanese because I was very concerned about our brothers and sisters after Fukushima, and that was the first thing that I thought about, is they don't need more radiation over there. So I don't think I think they've got enough, thank you. So I really wanted to make sure that they could see and understand my book in their language. It's also available on Amazon Germany. It's available in German. It's being translated right now into Swedish and the Scandinavian countries. And next would be Spanish and French. So it is my desire to have the book and the remedies available for people all over the world, because when this prayer was answered for me, Carly, it was also a very important thing that I share this with others, because I had been very blessed, and I want to bless other people too. And I'm there to help. So my email address is in my book, and I will speak to people one-on-one about the essential oils, about my protocol, about the amazing things that I did do and continue to do with the essential oils, and for the 2 feathers formula. And remember, it isn't just for breast cancer, it's for any kind of cancer and many other diseases too. So some of the people that I was talking to did not like the idea of tumors coming out of their body, and they chose to go instead to naturopathic doctors, and some of them went to very expensive places in Europe, and some went to Mexico, some went to expensive places, naturopathic clinics here in America, and I was very disturbed because every one of those people who did that have since died. And it's shocking. It was absolutely shocking and heart-wrenching for me. My brother also died on February 18th after a very horrendous illness of over a year. And I've written my book in honor of my dear beloved brother, Jerry.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. Thank you for giving all that valuable information for people. I encourage everybody to go to the website and find out about the, all the valuable information that's in the book. I encourage everyone to read it. I encourage people to share it with family members or other people that you know are going through challenges, and also really to find out about the living oils. Make sure again that it is therapeutic grade. Do not ingest oils unless they are. It is not good to ingest oils unless they're therapeutic grade. So make sure that they are high quality therapeutic grade oils if you plan on ingesting them. They really do impact the way you feel. Smelling them is amazing. It really does wake you up. It opens your sinuses. Make sure you're using the right oils for the right purposes. So do your research. Get a book. Don't just go blindly playing with oils because they can be volatile on your skin if you have sensitive skin. So make sure you know what you're doing before you play with oils. Like anything, it's not a toy. It is definitely something you need to know what you're doing. Make sure you work with someone who knows how to use oils, or like I said, get a book. Go reach out to someone like Susan. But they really are amazing oils. Oils are amazing for so many things. I love them. Thank you so much, Susan. It's been wonderful having you once again. I really love all the things that you're doing. I wish you amazing progress with your books, both of them. I hope the other one is doing. By the way, why don't you tell people what the name of the other book is too, because I absolutely love the other book.
Okay, it's Scented Adventures of the Bouquet Sisters in Fairyland. It's a children's story, but it's the first of its kind ever to have the scratch and sniff feature of the Young Living therapeutic grade essential oils in that for children, because when people smell something, it does raise up their frequency, their vibration, and that is why people get better when they use essential oils. It's because it raises the frequency, and disease cannot be where there is a high frequency. So it's very important. It's a very important part of my health regimen, and I'm certainly willing to teach other people about them if you need me to.
I would say this book isn't just for children, though. I mean, it's a wonderful book for children, don't get me wrong. It's a great book because it's just a great story. It includes her grandchildren. It talks about fairies. But it's a great book because as you go through it, as she says, it's got scratch and sniff. You open up these little cards, and you scratch and sniff, and you smell the essential oils. But I think it's a great introduction for people that do want to know about essential oils. And it's got a great story in there. It's, by the way, in purple ink. It's a beautiful, colorful book with beautiful graphics by Josephine Wall, who's an amazing artist who I absolutely love. So the book is an amazing book as a gift to anybody because like I said, it's not a black and white. This is not a black and white book. This is a beautiful book with literally beautiful graphics, a beautiful story, all in purple ink. Like I said, beautiful graphics. I mean, this is a book that is a great gift for anybody that is into metaphysics, that anyone you know who's like into fairies, oh my God, this is the perfect book. That has children, again, a perfect book, and that has the added benefits of talking about, the oils as well. So it is an amazing book. I absolutely love it. So yeah, if you're into fairies, love a beautiful, colorful, graphic book. It is absolutely beautiful. I encourage you to get both books, honestly. It's both great. So once again, thank you so much for joining me, Susan.
You're welcome, Carly. My website for the children's book is www.thebouquetsisters.com. So thank you. I appreciate being on your show again. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you've been with your host, Carly Alyssa Thorne, and you can find me at CarlyAlyssaThorne.com. That's CarlyAlyssaThorne.com. I look forward to being with you guys next week and enjoy bringing you valuable content, authors, people coming up with beautiful, wonderful ideas, inspirations, and valuable content for you. Everyone enjoy your evening, and I look forward to being with you next week.